Diego FC's inaugural home opener. Man, this game was honestly just such a blast to go to. The stadium was completely buzzing full of excitement and it was completely packed with people. At the end of the day, this was just a really fun experience. I'm really happy that I was able to go to it, and I just wanted to kind of highlight my takeaways from this match. Firstly, as far as getting to the stadium, there's all sorts of different options that you have there. If you want to pay for parking and just park at the stadium, you absolutely can, but it is really expensive. The discounted price for season ticket members was like $55 per match. So basically just under the amount that the ticket costs for each match that I paid for my season tickets. Now, if you just drive up to the stadium and park there without the season ticket member pricing, I'm assuming it's even higher than that. So I did not end up going that route. I just didn't want to spend that kind of money. However, there is a really good alternative, which is just taking the trolley. And there's all sorts of different trolley stops around the stadium that I had never really gone to before. And the trolley is super cheap. It was $2.50 per person one way, so basically $5 per person, not too bad. I will say we got to the stadium pretty early, like 2 hours before the game started. And man, the trolley was just completely packed full of people. I wasn't even really able to get footage of this, but we were on the trolley and people just kept getting in at every single stop, and it was basically like packed in like sardines until we got to the stadium. By the time we got there, the gates had just opened and they were starting to let people in, so it honestly wasn't too bad. There was a really long line, but the line didn't last that long because they were moving people pretty steadily. Once we walked into the stadium, one of the nice benefits of this home opener is that the first 30,000 people that showed up actually got a free scarf from DirecTV. So this scarf is actually a lot higher quality than the founding member scarf that we got. It's just a thicker material. It actually feels a lot warmer than the other one, which was like an athletic material. Now, we've been to the stadium a couple times before this when we were getting the season tickets, but this was our first time seeing the season tickets with actual stuff going on the field. And man, I'm so grateful for the tickets that we got because our seats are just awesome. The people that were around us were awesome as well, so I'm super excited for the rest of the season being able to watch games from this spot. So when we first got there, the stadium wasn't too full. Obviously, we were really early, so it makes sense that it wouldn't be packed yet. But it steadily started filling more and more and more, and by the time the opening ceremony was happening, the place just looked completely packed.
Wyatt determination.
And I just wanted to say here that throughout the entire process of this game, like way before the game even started and then up until the very end, the SDFC supporter section just really impressed me. They were completely going crazy the entire time, on their feet, dancing, chanting, waving flags the entire 90+ minutes. They did a really great job at just keeping the energy up in the stadium. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them because they did a great job, and I did not think that I would have the energy to do that the entire game. And right after the national anthem is when the tifo went up. So this one, unfortunately, wasn't really that impressive to me. I know a lot of work goes into making tifos, so by no means am I trying to badmouth it or anything. I'm sure people worked really hard on it, but unfortunately I was was expecting something at least maybe a little bit more colorful or more exciting for our first tifo. So after all of these months and months of waiting from when I first moved here to San Diego to the point that we're at the first kickoff of the SDFC game, the game just started. Happened just like that, and we were into the first MLS season with SDFC. Super excited, and it was honestly really fun watching SDFC play this game. I think they played really well, and actually statistically they played very well. It seemed like St. Louis City just kind of came to play for a draw at the end of the day because they weren't really playing very offensively. I don't know too much about soccer or tactics or anything like that. I just like watching the game. But you could definitely tell that they were trying to make sure that they did not lose at this game more than they were trying to go for a win. And that's the reason why we had 66% possession and they only had 34%. We had 16 shots and they only had 2. And then again, we had 9 corners and they didn't even have a corner throughout the entirety of the game. But man, this game was really fun to watch. Again, the team played great and there were all sorts of just really exciting moments, really close calls to where it seemed like they were about to score, but then something got in the way and they couldn't do it. And of course, I was filming everything, right? I was trying to capture the first SDFC home goal from my own angle. So I got all of these clips of footage where it got super close and then disappointment. It's honestly really funny looking back at how many times this happened. So after all these really close calls and almost getting to a victory, the game ended at 0-0. Nobody scored, which is kind of an unfortunate outcome for the very first home game. But again, at the end of the day, statistically speaking, and just from what I saw, I definitely think SDFC performed very well, and they definitely outperformed St. Louis City. A few other things I wanted to mention is that the stadium, like I said before, was just absolutely packed. They actually set a record for the largest audience at Snapdragon Stadium. So the total count of people in attendance was 34,506. And I believe that the capacity for Snapdragon is 35,000. So we're only 500 short from being completely sold out. And you could definitely feel it when you're in the stadium, especially at halftime, and even when it wasn't halftime. It was basically just gridlocked all the way around the stadium. I got up a couple times to try to take my kids to the bathrooms, to fill up the water, maybe even go to the concessions, but we weren't able to end up doing any of that because as soon as we got up to the top of the section we were in and tried to walk out, it was just completely at a stop. So I'm assuming that the rest of the season's probably gonna look like that too, just because there are so many soccer fans here in San Diego. But hopefully I can find some workarounds and maybe make a video about that later on this season. I do know that there are some parent rooms at Snapdragon Stadium that I didn't get a chance to check out yet. But for people like me who have a family, who have toddlers, there are definitely some more quiet spaces where you can take your kids that I will be checking out in the future. And what surprised me most, honestly, is that out of the amount of people that we had at the stadium, there were actually a couple of people that recognized me from the videos that I've made about SDFC. Now, I only have like 100 subscribers right now, a couple thousand views on some of my videos, so this really took me off guard, but shout out to you guys for recognizing me. It's definitely super crazy to have that happen, but I am grateful for you guys watching the videos, and feel free to come say hi if you ever do see me at Snapdragon or anywhere else. Okay, that all being said, there were some unfortunate sides of this game. First of which being that Chucky Lozano actually came off after just 31 minutes after playing. It looked like he got a hamstring injury. What I've read on Reddit is that I guess this is a recurring injury for him, so hopefully he's not going to be out for a very long time, because that would really suck to just get him for 31 minutes on the first home match and then not see him for a long time. Not entirely sure what's going to happen there. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that that infamous chant was happening from actually my side of the stadium. Again, the supporters section, like I said before, were amazing the entirety of the game. And once this chant started happening, it was really easy to tell that it was not coming at all from the north side of the stadium. It who's just coming from the south side of the stadium. And I'm not really going to comment on this chant. I just don't know enough about it to understand, what it means culturally to people or just what it means in black and white. That's not really my place anyway, but what I can say is that SDFC, Snapdragon, and just the MLS aren't really going to tolerate this chant. So I hope that it stops, because I definitely do not want to see SDFC being forced to forfeit games just because of a smaller percentage of fans that are doing a chant that isn't really tolerated. But luckily this didn't really start or keep happening until kind of towards the end of the game, so we were able to get through the full 90 minutes without anything major happening. And hopefully this doesn't really happen next game. But after the game ended, there were all sorts of people leaving. Like I said, the stadium was just completely packed. So we ended up just kind of hanging out, which was a great decision. We just hung out in our seats, and then by the time the stadium was a little bit more empty, it was so much easier to just walk out of the stadium and hang out at the trolley station. The trolley, of course, was super full with people leaving. We didn't even try to go on it until maybe 4 or 5 times that the trolley came by, because we could just look up at the platform and see how many people were waiting for it. But something that's really nice, especially if you have a family, kids, or just aren't someone who likes to go and be with, a completely packed trolley, is that the entire surrounding area around Snapdragon is just really nice. There's grass everywhere, there's some playgrounds a little bit further out, and directly around the trolley station, there's a lot of different areas where you can just sit at some tables, sit in the grass, and just kind of hang out. This was a really good spot. I saw a couple other families doing this, and that's what I did with my toddlers too, is just stay near the trolley, let kind of the biggest amount of crowds go before you try to get on the platform. And then by the time we rode the trolley, there was basically nobody on it, and it was super easy to get to our car and head home. So yeah, that was my experience and kind of my perspective on how San Diego FC's first and inaugural home opener went. I think this game was a ton of fun to be at, and even though the outcome of the match, 0-0, wasn't really that exciting, there were all sorts of different exciting moments that happened, and it was just great to see this team actually playing at our home stadium. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the rest of the season. What I'd love to hear from you is, did you go to this match? And if you did, what was your experience like? I'd also be really curious to hear about people that did not go to the match, but maybe watched it on Apple TV, what you saw versus what I'm showing in this video, maybe what the differences are, what wasn't shown on TV. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe for more SDFC and just San Diego related content in the future, and I'll see you in the next video.